Hello everyone, I just wanted to make a relatively short video here, hopefully, to kind of go over a few things for this week. The first thing I want to do is just kind of look real quickly at what the rest of the semester looks like, because we're kind of in crunch time. Everything's coming to a head. You're almost done. It might not feel like it yet, but you're getting there. So what I wanted to point out really is what the rest of the semester looks like for you guys for this class. So I pulled up the assignments for this course. So obviously critical review form and reference list is due this week. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit here. Next week, your introduction and problem statement will be due. And I made a Adobe Spark presentation that's in this week's module, so you can look through that and kind of get a feel for what an introduction and problem statement consists of. Then you'll have 2 weeks to work on your research paper, your literature review. So the good thing is right now everything is building towards this, which is, if you look over here, 20% of your grade. So it's definitely something you want to put the work into. And the more you do on these two assignments, these next two, the easier the research paper is going to be. I think I've said that before. The more you put into these critical review forms and the more you put into the problem statement, once you do your introduction and problem statement, do that in APA Style Central and you've already got the first few pages, 2 or 3 pages of your paper done. So you're already working on this. So it's a lot coming up. The good news is that you're going to be done with the really heavy portion of this class before finals. That's why I kind of crunched this stuff together, because I don't want you working on a 10 or 15 page paper while you're trying to study for finals. And this last assignment, your digital presentation of findings, that's going to be very similar to your debunking assignment. You're just going to make some kind of digital presentation of what you found in your paper. And then, of course, the last thing is professionalism, which you can see all of the smaller assignments that make up that 10%. The other thing I want to point out here is that all of this, your remaining assignments, including your professionalism, is 60% of your grade. So that is a good and a bad. If you're not happy with your grade, that means you can absolutely improve it. But it also means there's no time for, kind of slacking off and doing things at the last minute. This is the time to really kick it in a high gear and get stuff done, get it in on time, make sure you're following my feedback. Look back at your past assignments and look at the feedback that I've given you regarding grammar and spelling and formatting and all that stuff. And if you still have concerns, absolutely speak to me. The other thing you can do, I don't know that I've actually shown you this yet. I've mentioned it. If you log into your portal, your BayPath portal, go to students, and you go down here, this is where you can find out about tutoring. So if you're having issues with a lot of grammar and spelling, or there's something that's just not clicking and I can't clear it up for you, absolutely go here and seek help. There's no harm in getting a second opinion, a second eye on things. I think that's it for that. I did mention in my announcement regarding assignments, if you've submitted something and I have commented within your paper or within the rubric, if I've commented anywhere in there and you've replied to me, I won't see that. So if you reply to me there, send me an email and I can look at it. Otherwise, I don't get a notification. I have to actually go in and look at it. So just an FYI on that. Okay, so looking at, I don't need that. Looking at what is due this week, just to be clear on a few things. So your critical review form and reference list, due this Thursday. So you're going to make 3. Hopefully you've already got a good chunk of this done. But you need at least 3 peer-reviewed journal articles with statistically significant results. Okay, that's what you're going to make your critical review forms from. You have 2 options for the forms that you're going to use. Those can be found within the last couple modules. There's the McMaster one, and then there's the kind of just a general one that you can use. I don't care which one, just make sure that you use at least 3 of them. And then, in addition to that, you need 7 more either peer-reviewed articles, books, or .gov or .edu websites. We say .gov and .edu because those are reputable. Okay, we want you're making a professional paper here, so you don't want just a regular .com. It needs to be something with some credibility behind it. One thing that I changed up here, it says that your reference list should be submitted as a link to your paper in APA Style Central. I actually want you to submit it as a Word doc. The reason being, and I'll take a quick peek at APA Style Central. The reason being, if you create your references, and absolutely use this, this is a great tool. So create everything here, but if you look, there's no way for you to actually share this with me. If it's kind of tacked onto your paper, then technically yes, but it's just going to be confusing for everybody. So what you're going to have to do is copy and paste, and I already played around with this, and I'm going to walk you through it because it can be a little tricky if you're not clear with what you're doing. Obviously this is kind of a funky format on here, so if you just try to copy and paste both references, you're getting this little add notes thing over here. So create all of your references. You're going to have to copy and paste one at a time and then change the format. So copy, and I'm going to have to open up a blank document. And we'll keep source formatting. And we'll do the second one. Oops. Again, source formatting. So now they're on your document, but remember you need hanging indent and you need either Times New Roman or Courier. So what you're going to do, highlight all of it, go up here, and here's a little tip that you'll appreciate. By APA standards, it's either Courier New or Times New Roman. If you're one of those people that is always concerned about filling up enough space, Courier New actually takes up a little more space. So go for Courier New if you're looking to just hit that page number. Alright, so Courier New, size 12 font. Now you have to do the hanging indent. I showed you this before, but we'll do it again. Click here, hanging, okay, and now you're good. So not too difficult really. Just remember again the hanging indent, that little, you can barely see it, that little tab under paragraph. Alright, so that's that. So that's the change as far as the critical review form and reference list. That's the only change. You're still doing everything the same. It's just the way you're submitting it is a little bit different. The other thing, it says here, refer to grading rubric. Absolutely do that because it is very detailed on this one. I'll pull it up real quick here. So this kind of gives the overview, but then down here, I'm not going to go through all of this for you, but definitely take a look at this before you submit your assignment and make sure that you're ticking off all of these boxes because it goes through quite a bit here. Down here this says reference list set up properly in APA Style Central. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back and look and make sure that you have started a blank document. That was an assignment a while ago. So I'll just go back, make sure that you have your blank document set up and that I am added to it as a reviewer, and that's how I'll grade this. So double check and make sure you did that. On that note, while you're doing that, and I asked this before, and I don't know how many people were able to follow through with it, but go into your paper and rename it. Put your name as the title of your paper. The reason for that is that when I go in, I won't pull it up because I don't want everybody's stuff to show up, but when I hit my papers, it pulls up everybody's paper that I'm added to as a reviewer, but it doesn't show who the author is. It just shows the title of the paper. So when I hit that, what's happening is I'm seeing a list of 20 papers, and most of them just say sample or blank or whatever you named it to begin with. So just go in, change the title of your blank paper to your name, and make sure that I'm a reviewer. And really, that's primarily going to help you in the long run, because if you're stuck with something when you're writing your problem statement or working on the paper as a whole, if there's something you want me to look at, it's going to be a lot easier if you have your name on the paper and I can just go in and take a peek. Otherwise, you're going to have to send me the link again. And it wasn't a big deal when you initially made it because I actually got an email notification, but now as you're adding to it, I don't get notifications. So just, again, go in, change the title of your blank paper to your name. Alright, the next thing I wanted to talk about, because it is coming up quick, is the problem statement. Again, that's another 10% of your grade. That's due April 6th, so next Thursday. This gives an overview. I'm not going to read it to you. It's pretty straightforward. It is in the syllabus. I did share with you the problem statement that I wrote when I was going through the MOT program. I've always found it helpful to have an example to look at. So again, I'm not gonna go through this start to finish, but this kind of just shows you a general idea of what you're looking to do. So the introduction, for me, I just did a pretty straightforward one paragraph right into the problem statement. And you can see that ends up being about 2 pages altogether. This, I have a conclusion and future research. You don't have to do that for your paper. You will do that for your final paper, so if you want to tackle this or start on a conclusion and a future research, by all means go for it, and I'll look at it and I'll comment, but I won't count anything in those sections towards your grade. So if you'd like to put this stuff in, it would absolutely help you in the long run, and I'll take a peek at it and give you some comments. So I encourage you to do that, but you're not required. And then, of course, the reference list. So however many I had for this one. So look through that, get an idea of what that looks like, and also look through this week's module. Where are we? Yeah, look through the Adobe Spark page that I made. Here is the link to the problem statement, your assignments for this week, the critical review form, and the discussion for this week. Quick note, speaking of discussions, I thoroughly enjoyed reading your interviews. There was a lot of common themes, and I think you guys saw that in the discussion, which was pretty cool. So I hope you enjoyed that assignment. I hope it kind of made this all come together a little more for you and kind of emphasize the importance of evidence-based practice and research and why we do this. So yeah, I thought that came out really well. Let's see if there's anything else that I wanted to go over. I think that's pretty much it. Critical review form, covered that. problem statement. You should be good to go on that. If you have any questions, as always, absolutely feel free to ask. If you're looking for the actual critical review forms, I believe one of them is in week 7, module 7. Yep. So here is one of your critical review forms. So module 7, that's the McMaster one. That's kind of your gold standard one. And then when we came back from spring break, I decided to also allow you to use the more basic one, which is here. So module 9, blank. You'll see CAT, that's critically appraised topic. It's the same thing as critical review form. It's just a different acronym for it. So don't get confused on anything with that. And then I gave you examples again. So feel free to go back and look at that and make sure you're comfortable with this before you submit it. I think that's all I want to go over. I hope everybody's doing well. It was nice to see some of your faces at the orientation. I know it was, it's always a mix of exciting and overwhelming, but try to focus on the exciting part and getting through the rest of this semester, and getting started on your further path. So I think that's all I have for you, and I will talk to you soon. Also, hopefully at some point, like I mentioned, I'm going to try to do, if people are interested, I'm going to try to do some kind of a writing workshop in person. That's going to be a little tricky because I'm actually starting a full-time position at a skilled nursing facility in the next week or two in Vermont. So it would probably have to be a Saturday or a Sunday afternoon. So maybe that'll work, maybe it won't, but hopefully we can figure out something with that. But always, always, always feel free to email me with any questions. All right, take care.